Star Wars Geek Girl. They're geek girls that like Star Wars. And sometimes cry.
Click. Hello and welcome to Star Wars Geek Girl. As usual, I'm Zoe and I'm here with Lizzy,
Hello.
and we are going to talk about Andor and Star Wars things.
Andor.
First, there's no really big Star Wars news this week. It is the 7 year. It was on Saturday the 22nd, the 7 year anniversary of the podcast, which is kind of weird. 7 years.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
it's been a long, long time.
yes, crazy.
7 years. How old am I? I'm so 13. 13
Mhm.
years old for me.
It's been like I'm 21. It's been a third of my life. Kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is a lot. But
Um,
we're still here. We're still doing it. We're cool. And Andor's
There's
cool.
more Star Wars and Andor. Spoiler-free thoughts on this episode. While it was like there wasn't any like big action scenes or anything like that, like we had with the Aldani heist, this episode had so much. And um it was just so cool. A lot of really great character moments, a lot of great acting, some banging music. This episode was really, really cool. And I enjoyed it very much.
Yes, I also enjoyed the music because usually I don't notice the music a lot. I'm not a very music person.
Mhm.
Um, but the music this time was like very, very cool, very nice, very upbeat as the captions was saying it was. But yeah,
The
I
captions are a must in this episode, I think.
yes. Captions in general are a must, especially I watch well I usually sometimes okay. I usually watch a lot of horror movies, and sometimes there's always like that one little ghost girl that's whispering something and I'm like, I can't hear you. I need
Mhm.
I need subtitles. So I always put subtitles. But yes, this it was very, very good episode. It was longer than I thought it was gonna be because I last minute was watching it because I was so busy this week, but I was like, oh, I gotta watch this. And then I sat down and it was like 50 minutes went by and I was like, oh wow, that was a long episode. But very worth it, very good. We get to I guess this is a spoiler. Like, we get to see reoccurring characters. They're cool. Um, well, they are not cool, but it is cool to see them. And yeah, everyone should be watching Andor. Especially, I went and I talked to Chef again. Update on Chef. I went up and I was like, "Hey, Chef, have you watched Andor? Have you kept watching it?" And he was like, "Yeah, yeah, it's really cool." But I swear to God, Lizzy, if they're not shooting anything, like, because he didn't watch the last episode, where they actually do the
The
robbery,
shooting.
yeah, the shooting. He was like, Lizzy, if there's no shooting, I'm going to shoot something. And I was like, okay.
Oh,
I
oh
was
my.
like, all right. And I was like, well, this new episode is gonna have a lot of shooting and a lot of death. And he was like, okay, I'm just saying, I need a lot of action. Like, I love the politics, they're cool, but I'm gonna fall asleep. Lizzy, my life is action. And I was like, okay, okay.
At least you know what he likes. I can respect
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. So he's still watching it. I'm surprised, and hopefully he likes the latest episode.
Well, Chef, I hope you like it. I don't know you. You don't know me. I hope you like it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So this episode, I feel like also didn't really have a lot of action,
No, I don't.
at all.
I had like I would say one scene that was like sort of actiony, maybe.
Yeah,
Um,
but
yeah,
not entirely.
not
So
like it was a little one-sided.
yeah, we'll get to that.
Poor boy. Poor boy.
So yeah, it was very good. if you like politics and stuff like that, like again, this is for you, especially like just like the the connections from what happens in real life to what happens in the show is like very there's it's just everywhere literally, and I will not hesitate to point them out even if I'm repeating myself. I'm sorry if I do, but I'm just saying it's because these things are so important in our everyday lives that just happen all the time, and then some people don't believe it and some people they are living it constantly. So like it's a very like the things you're seeing now a good amount of times happen, maybe not in space but definitely down here. So I just love those connections that the show constantly brings, even though it's scary but it is cool to watch. And yeah, that I'm ready for spoilers.
Okay, spoiler time.
Spoiler time.
Um,
So
I lost my thing. Okay. So the episode starts in the ISB, and I had captions on, and I'm glad I did because this would have totally gone over my head if I did not have captions on. But it says "You Lauren," and I was like, I know that dude.
yeah.
Um,
I keep thinking they're trying to say IBS, but I know it's
I'm sure
ISB.
there's an IBS um organization in Star Wars. I feel like there's all those different foods. People are probably getting flare-ups all the time.
Yeah. There's an IB, there's an SISB with IBS somewhere, or it's the other way around. I don't know.
For sure.
I'm mixed up now. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, we know you, Lauren. He's cool.
It's so weird. It always throws me off because I feel like, and I know they're not, the character Lauren in Clone Wars is so separate from Imperial Lauren in my brain because I'm like, oh, like Clone Wars Lauren, I like that little dude. I had this action figure. Then I'm like, oh, he's like, he comes up in Rebels or the Thrawn novels or in this, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, he is no longer
He's not
cool.
just Anakin's buddy anymore.
No, he is.
He's a
just
meanie. He is Anakin's buddy, actually. He is Anakin's buddy, but in a different
He's
way.
still technically Anakin's buddy, yeah. But
actually, I don't know. Did you Lauren and Vader were they chilling?
Maybe not because Vader doesn't want people to know.
Mm-hmm.
But
because I feel like Vader is with Tarkin, but I don't think Vader liked any Imperial officer. I feel like he thought they were stinky.
Yeah, I'm sure they are stinky.
Probably. They keep the stink in those giant pants.
Yeah. Their pants are like they're really cool, but they get me every time because like I'm just like the massive thighs, like they could fit in there. Like no one is complaining about having no room in there anymore. Like they got it covered. But anyway, yeah, they're having a whole meeting and I'm very not bored, but like it's big words. Big words I can understand sometimes, and then there's big words that just over my head. Like I can't catch them fast enough. But yeah, they speak in big words and they're trying to figure out how to like have more security in people's lives as if there wasn't enough already, because of this whole robbery that happened.
Well, they're very much like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna be terrible to everyone, basically. Like they're talking about like, as backlash to the heist, they're like, we're just gonna arrest everyone for everything, like need to go hard on them. Like we need to they mentioned like we won't let them use any of their local customs or festivals as cover, like they did with the eye, which of course will easily translate to no local customs or festivals.
Yeah.
Like all this, like they're very like you won't have any more problems with the like people telling you no, like you're gonna be able to do whatever you want. It's very scary.
Yeah.
And even Deidre, who's like, look, this is what the rebels want. This is going to drive people into their hands. And she's right. You know, like,
Yeah.
not that the Empire wasn't already being terrible, but like when it gets worse, it's only going to make more people realize. Like, I think like something Luthen says, I think later in this episode is like, or maybe it was episode before, he's like, the Empire has been choking us so slowly we don't notice it. Well, people are going to
This
notice
episode.
when it speeds up, you know?
Yeah. Which is funny because Vader chokes people.
Yes, he does. So it's interesting because now Deidre she's kind of thinking like a rebel in order to counter them, which, you know,
Very smart.
is smart and
Very Thrawn move.
yeah, and it's, you know, you can't help but wonder like if more Imperials weren't so like arrogant and did think like Deidre, how would things have gone different? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Interesting. I lied. The episode does not open in ISB. It opens with cereal. Eating cereal.
Yeah, he's eating cereal again. Can't even make a full meal, bro.
No,
Like,
he's
I am with you on
pours
this
the
loser thing. He
wimpiest.
can't even make himself a little pair of eggs at this
He
point.
he pours himself the wimpiest little bowls of cereal. And it's like, bro, eat like food, dude.
Eat protein.
And he's wearing a brown suit.
It's very boring.
It's not a very nice suit. I don't feel like, I don't think there's anything wrong with
I
a
mean,
brown suit,
yeah,
but like that fit was just not
it was not
it was
it.
not it. The fit was not
Like,
it.
even I, like, for career fair, I went to the greatest of places, Goodwill, because sometimes they have great stuff there.
Hey, Goodwill,
I
depending on
got
where you are, slaps.
I
I don't take
already
Goodwill.
have some like black pants that I used for service, but sometimes I got like khaki pants. They were pretty nice. They were okay. Like, I don't like the color khaki, but it was okay.
Mhm.
Got a belt, got a nice belt. Huh? I got a black turtleneck, which was it was long sleeved, very nice, very cool, very chic. And I got this nice vest that was not, or not vest, jacket. It was not brown. It was gray, but it has lines in it, and it looked very expensive, but on sale because it was a purple tag, so it was $10. I'm just saying, cereal. You don't have to pay so much to look nice. You just gotta
Go to the
spice it up.
Coruscant Goodwill. I'm sure the Coruscant Goodwill is crazy. You see what people wear there.
Yeah.
Coruscant Goodwill's got to be awesome.
My dad would die to go to a Coruscant Goodwill.
I guess speaking of which, I gotta go to Ross because I have a thing possibly coming up I need to get actual good clothes for.
Ross. That's where
Yeah,
my parents met.
I've heard that story before.
Yeah, it's a creepy story, but
I
they
don't think
met
this
at
is the
Ross.
same. I don't think this is the same Ross. This is
No.
just down the street from me. I
It
don't
is
think it's
not.
quite the same Ross. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it was like not bad. It just wasn't working for him, and he had it tailored. And his mom was like, "You know what that's telling me? I forget what she said already.
Oh, he doesn't care about how he looks. He wants to be like ordered around. He doesn't want to take
Yeah,
charge.
she's like, because he had this suit tailored too. He has all his clothes tailored, I guess. I don't know.
What does that imply? What does that mean? Tailored, like
I mean,
he got it
like fitted to him. Like you can't just wear the clothes. Like you have to get it specifically tailored to him. So he has uniform tailored and he has this tailored. It's interesting. I don't think it's like, I don't know. I guess
It
I
looked like
associate
he
like
was
outside of like something super formal, like a wedding dress or something. I guess I just associate getting something tailored with being like super, super rich. Like if you get like all your stuff tailored.
Yeah.
But he's not that. I think he just kind of wants to show, like, wants to be like
The suit, if I was an employer, because again, I just went to career fair, like it gives like very like I'm looking for a job where I'm going to stay at that job for a very, very long time. I'm not looking for a promotion kind of job. Like brown is a good color, but it depends how you wear it. His kind of looked like a onesie. So like
Well, see, I don't know.
wasn't.
I don't know enough of like what's acceptable Star Wars fashion
That's
in
true.
the professional world to judge that. Honestly, I do think cereal, I think you need to stick to like dark blacks, grays, and blues. I think they fit your coloring better. Just me.
They're very, and it makes your eyes pop.
It does. It's very intense eyes. Yeah. So anyway, he's eating cereal and being berated by his mom about his suit. When there's like news and it's like a little like almost 50 TV screen, news about the Aldani attack.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk about like the blockade and the investigation stuff, and Serial stares very intensely at it.
Yeah, he did the thing again. Yeah, I don't know if it's next, but just to get cereal out of the way, he kind of
Let's do
like huh?
let's do it.
Okay, he kind of like goes to this. What is it like an interview or like
I
he got
don't
the
think it was
job?
an
He's just kind
interview.
of
I think his uncle got him a job,
yeah. So like
and he's going on his first day of work, and the supervisor dude is like, all right, like you need to be verifying things and like doing whatever fuel purity. That's what he does. Fuel purity. Super exciting. And the guy's like, oh, like what was that thing on Morlana 1? And Cyril gets like very intense.
yeah,
And he's like, there's a murderer running free due to corruption. I was trying to save it, and they punish me for upholding the law. And it's like, bro,
yeah.
your first day
It's
of
like
work.
it's like telling your job why you got fired at the other job.
Which I mean, he was asked, but it's like, bro, like Serial
Well,
just
like
needs to chill. And but that's
yeah,
like the thing too, is like that's what makes Andor so good is like, yeah, like especially from his perspective, like he did a lot of wrong and was part of this really corrupt force. But from his perspective, two people got killed and no one else cared. You know what I mean?
mhm.
Uh, and it's Serial certainly. At least I think his motives were more along the line of like, I am doing my duty. Like, look at how I am. Like it was more about him than the actual people that got murdered.
Yeah.
But it's still like, I don't know, it's so interesting from his perspective to think about it that way.
Yeah. It was just like kind of awkward because,
It was so
at
awkward. It was
this
so
point,
awkward.
it's like, it was just like,
Yeah,
interesting.
he like goes off for a minute and like it's like, okay. And the guy's like, all right, you're gonna go to that desk over there.
Yeah, we just got it like all cleaned and everything for you. It's
Yeah, clean new
perfect.
desk for you. Have fun with fuel purity.
Mm.
Cyril's
Yeah.
so excited. Um,
Yeah, he got a desk job.
Yay. Honestly, those desks are kind of cool. The little cubicles.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean
not a
they're
big
round.
cubicle fan, but those are kind of cool cubicles.
They seem spacious cubicles.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that's him, and then like there's a scene where you just see him like turning knobs, and I don't maybe that's the mouse, or I don't know.
Well, because I know like that one scene back in like episode 2 or something. The first three kind of blend together for me, not gonna lie. But back in
Yeah.
like episode 2, I think, when the guys like turning, when they're like searching the system maps for Cassian's ship or whatever, and they're like turning the knobs. It was a similar thing. I don't know. I don't know how Star Wars computers work. I don't think they know how Star Wars computer works. I think they just build it and they're like, okay, turn this knob and then VFX will make stuff happen on the screen. I don't think it's an actual system.
Yeah, it's like trying to work with like Excel and Microsoft things. It's a bit
That's exactly what
difficult.
it is. Uh, yeah. Yeah, we'll get
Like
to
I
that.
have teachers be like, you guys should know how to use this. And it's like, no, I don't.
I had a Excel class I had to take in middle school.
We do not have that. We have culinary and finance.
I did not have that. I did have, I had home ec, and we made mug cake in a microwave. And honestly, I still sometimes make mug cake in a microwave because it's really good and really easy.
I don't have it.
You
I
use
don't know if I have
mayonnaise instead of
these.
eggs,
Interesting.
and it works. It's good. It's bang. I should make mug cake. I just got myself a new mug. Make mug cake.
I have a mug from the restaurants because they had a meeting and they were like, this one is a little bit chipped on the handle. Anyone want it? And I was like, me. I want it. I just sanded it and that was it. That's all I needed.
Hey,
Doesn't I mean it's not perfect, but like,
it's a free mug.
Works.
Free mug.
Yeah. It's beautiful. It's nice and white. Like it's just like a beautiful cafe white.
Yes. Also early in the episode, we have Luthen. And he's listening to some news about the credit stolen and blah blah blah. And he's pretty happy. And then Clay comes back and she's like, "Hey, Mothma's here." And Mothma comes in and she does that little show thing we first saw with her and Luthen. She's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. My husband really liked this gift. I'm gonna get him a new one instead." Blah blah blah. And as soon as they're inside, and it's such an interesting scene. I love the whole like way they're doing this dynamic. So Mothma is facing away from the window where her driver's watching outside. So she like drops the act pretty quickly because it's just them and Clea in the shop. And she's like, "Did you do this?" And Luthen is talking to her and he's facing the window. So he's still like keeping the smile and the like grandiose gestures, but he's like kind of, and he's like he's saying things a little bit vague, but he's still like having the conversation, but just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get it.
It was really cool.
I feel like if I was Mothma in that moment,
No,
I feel like I would have been
like,
more
let's go
frustrated.
to the back.
Yeah, I would have been
like,
more
let's go to the
frustrated.
back. Like, I'm not putting up with you like this right now. So because because Luthen's argument is that they need the money to fund the revolution, the budding rebel alliance and stuff. And Mothma's argument is like, we're not really ready yet to have done such a strike. Like the way the Empire is reacting to this is going to get a lot of people hurt. And like we still like are trying to build a network, and like, it's such an interesting conversation because I don't, at least to me, I feel like either of them are really like wrong. It was just very different perspectives on it.
Yeah, at
because I think because like Luthen's right, like they need to strike back. If they wait until they're fully ready, they might never actually do it. And they need to, he says the thing about being choked so slowly, they need to get people, people's attention. But Mothma's also right. Like a lot of people who have nothing to do with the Empire and don't want to fight for the rebellion, who are just trying to live their lives, are gonna get hurt and probably die because of this. Like people who are suffering, who ostensibly they're representing, are going to get hurt because of this, for something they have nothing to do with. And it's just an interesting conversation.
From that, I was kind of confused because I was like, look, if you're trying to fund this rebellion, like this is pretty much how dirty it's gonna get. It's gonna get worsely dirty. It's like according to what Cassian's been through, like apparently it gets worse. Yeah. So I think again, like that, and I'm confused by the last part of what she like, because the last bit of the episode is mostly her talking about herself, about rebellion and stuff, but like I feel like not that she didn't think about it, but I think she was very much thinking about this through a political standpoint. and not, how we see her actually leading the rebellion later on, like actually there. Because for this, it's like, she's not really there. She's just funding money at that point for now, like from what we know so far in that episode. She's only funding the money for it. But it's interesting. I don't know. So I'd like to see how that goes about doing, because it's like, I feel like I still don't know much about Mothma, even though either like she's been in all these movies and all these shows. Like, I feel like I still know pretty much zero, especially during this point where she's just making the rebellion.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely feel, I think it's also her, she wasn't really ready for what it would all entail. And I think in her mind, I think what Mothma, I don't think, based on what we know of her later too, I don't think she necessarily wanted no war. She seems, I mean, obviously that's later, so I could be interpreting her wrong, but I think she understands that we're gonna have war because, like, she went through the Clone Wars, like she gets it from that
Yeah.
perspective. But I think in her mind, she's trying to minimize the suffering of people. So for her, she's like, I don't want to start something until I know we can finish it quickly. And I think it's her being a little bit too optimistic, the way Padme often was in the Clone Wars, trying to negotiate an end when obviously we know Palpatine was not going to let that happen. I think it was her being a little over optimistic about the fact that it could ever be ended quickly from when it started. Compared to Luthen, who I think it's interesting because I think Luthen is very easily compared to a Saw Gerrera character here. I would say the difference between Luthen and Saw is that Saw goes on his missions. um, you know, so so interesting. I want Luthen and Saw to meet. I think that'd be. I'm so excited. I'm loving the exploration of Cassian's character. I'm just as much loving the political foundings of the rebellion. I think that's awesome. I'm the debates between Mothma and Luthen and eventually Saw will build into it are so interesting because Saw's a little different, but I don't think any of them are at all wrong. I think it's just different perspectives. And I think both those perspectives are needed. I think you need your Luthens who are going to take action even when it's extremely risky. And you also need your Mothmas who recognize the need for taking your time and building a network and stuff. Luthen doesn't really want to bring too many people in. He does not want to hear about Mothmas. He wants to bring Cassian in, but only after vetting him and apparently researching him a ton, which is important, but also there isn't always time for that. And sometimes you need to take a leap of faith. And I think it's so interesting, because I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, Luthen's right, Mothma's wrong, or oh, Mothma's wrong, or Mothma's right, Luthen's wrong. And I think they're both right. And I love it when stuff does this. I love it when Star Wars does this. Super cool.
Yes. Very, very good. And then she kind of leaves kind of mad, upset.
Which is, I will say, this is me being Mothma defender. She's already, aware of things before this with like the Gorman and stuff, people already suffering. So all Mothma's really hearing is how more people are going to suffer. So I get why she's upset. I don't think Luthen's wrong, but I completely am with Mothma being upset because that's hard to recognize when directly or indirectly your actions are hurting lots of people, even if you have a good reason for it.
Yeah, and I think that's just, something that Mothma's gonna have to learn from this, like kind of just, like Vel, like they just kind of have to do it. Like even if it's scary and people, your team might get hurt, like you still need to do it. So other people don't continue to get hurt by others.
Well, but that's the thing is other people are getting hurt by others because of it. what the Aldani rebels did. And it's not like it's the Aldani
Yeah.
rebels' fault, but it's hard to stomach that for sure.
Yeah.
And there's a certain point where you have to ask yourself, this is where I think the biggest line between Saw and Mothma is like, how many innocent people am I okay with getting hurt in order to eventually free the galaxy?
Mhm.
You know, and that number is larger for some than others. And
Yeah.
I don't fault Mothma at all for setting a fairly small number for that.
Mhm. Even though it might not be realistic,
Of
unfortunately,
course
with
not.
the lives that the Empire is so
Of
willing
course, and
to get rid of.
of course not. But I'm Mothma defender number one, and I very much
Heard.
sympathize with her.
Gotcha.
I love her, queen.
She is queen. I think she could spend more time with her family, but queen.
Listen, you can't have it both ways. You can't be a rebel leader and mom of the year. Sometimes you gotta pick.
Just saying.
Okay, even Britta and Bale. You know, and luckily they had a daughter that understood.
Yeah, well,
Eventually.
that's because both parents were good parents.
Yeah, because Perrin trash.
Yes, pretty much. Um, but yeah, so she leaves without a gift. Oh no, no gift for her husband.
Oh no!
How awful.
I hope he dies.
Yeah, hopefully.
That's
You know, with
the
the amount of times that people are dying here.
You ever see that Doja Cat tweet where, you know, someone says like, "Oh, I have a boyfriend," and she's like, "Oh, that's so happy for you," in the reply, and then the next tweet is, "I hope her boyfriend dies." That's me. I'm
Interesting.
Doja Cat in that situation.
Interesting. No, I have not seen that. The last thing that I saw of Doja Cat was like on Twitter was when she made like a caviar like mayo with veggies and she was and then everyone was like, "Oh my god, she's such a chef. Oh my god, she's so good at cooking." And then she like explained how she did it and she was like, "Yeah, I'm just a culinary genius." And it was like she boiled milk with like caviar in it and then made a sauce that was a pure it was I can tell she went to the restroom for like an hour after that, but it's okay. Slay, I guess. Um, that's the only thing I've seen from her. But anyway, yeah. What happens after Mothma leaves? Besides, we get an intense look. We get such intense like views of characters and their faces and like Luthen's was a very intense face.
Yes, it's beautiful. Yeah. So that's that first thing, and then we get to
Andor, come home.
we didn't talk about Clea yet.
Oh, who?
Clea
Clea.
with
Who's
the dark
Clea?
hair, the
Oh,
Luthen's assistant. What?
yeah, my bad.
She walks through a little like subway station thing. There's little symbols in the walk, and she's walking and walking. It was really it sounds boring, but I was really enthralled by it. It's crazy how much they are able to make just like walking so interesting. um so she meets up with Vel. I'm gonna be totally honest, did not recognize Val
I
for a
didn't either,
solid
and I
like
didn't
I don't know
recognize
how long it
the
was, but for like a
assistant
while.
either.
I recognized Clea because it was I don't know, that was different, but Val like because you know the whole time we saw her, she was like ponytail, like sort of like tactical gear or like the poncho and stuff, and now she's like makeup, like long, cute. She looked beautiful, and I was like, who is this lady? Who is that? And it was Val, and I was like, oh my gosh, hi Val, you look so good, girl.
You look great. You're not
And
dirty anymore.
yeah, well, And and then Clay is like, oh, like, what's up? And Bella's like, everyone died.
Pretty much everyone is dead.
And Bella's like, oh, and she basically, oh, I thought Lupin was meeting me. Like, what are you doing here? And Clay's like, don't worry about it. And then so Bella's like, the money's safe, like it's hidden securely, blah blah blah. Good job recruiting Terriman, who was dead. Yeah, Bella's like, everyone died. And then Bella's like, what about Cinta? Have you heard from Cinta? And Clay is like, Cinta's doing what she was supposed to do. We can't send or receive messages. And he's like, okay. And then Clay is like, oh, by the way, Clem is casting Andor. He's a loose end. You gotta kill him. And Bella's like, okay.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Man, I really hope Val doesn't. I'm really worried Val's gonna get Cassian.
I mean, she
I
had
really
the
hope
chance to kill him.
it's a joke because we know.
No, I know.
alive.
I know,
Okay.
but I'm like, she had the chance to kill Cassian. I don't know if she'll go through with it again.
I hope she doesn't try to actually go through with it. Because as much as I love Val, I think Cassian could take her in a fight. I really do.
Well, I was thinking, she would be like, hey, I don't want to
Well,
do that.
I'm saying I hope it goes that way. I hope she actually doesn't. I'm just saying if she does decide, she's gonna die. I don't want her to die. So
yeah, fair.
Partially because Cassian could take her in a fight. Also, we know Cassian lives, and we don't know if Vel does. So yeah, Vel, make good choices. We also get to see Cinta again, my girl. She sees it's a shot we saw in all the trailers really of the Star Destroyer flying over. And that's really it. She's like getting on her speeder, and there's a Star Destroyer. And that's all we see.
Yeah.
We also see Daedra, and now that she's in the ISB, or the ISB now is like having full authority. She's able to get all the data she wants. So she does, and the guy's like, "Oh, you want?" He's like, "You want all that?" And she's like, "Is that a problem?" It's hard not to root for Daedra, like even though she's going against everything. It's hard to not, and not that I don't want her to succeed, but you know what I mean. Like when I'm with Daedra, I'm like, I like you. I don't like. I don't know. She's just so much more competent than all the other Imperials.
Yeah, no,
It's
that's
hard
fair.
to not like
I mean,
her a
it's
little
like
bit.
it's kind of a Thrawn situation where you're like, no,
Yeah,
you're a bad guy, but
like
also
when I read the Thrawn novels, I can't help but root for him a little bit, even when he's doing like being like absolutely terrible.
yeah.
I'm
No, I get
still
it.
like I still like I kind of like I want you to win in this situation. Even like the Phasma novel, like you're being really evil for a lot of this, not all of it, but a lot of it. But also like you're so cool.
Well, a lot of it. Even when she was a kid, she was freaking evil, bro.
Yeah, but that planet that they were on sounds absolutely miserable in
I'm
that
like,
book.
would you kill your sibling?
No,
Exactly.
but you gotta survive. Some people don't have
Safi, do you hear
some.
this right now? Safi.
No, my next sentence was some people don't have great siblings like Safi. Safi made me a rat with a bird skull on it. I appreciate her very much. Yeah. Anyway, Cassie goes back to Ferrex.
Yes.
I'm so happy to see Ferrex again. I love that place. I think it's so interesting. But it's like there's like stormtroopers around now. It's actually really interesting when he's walking through Ferrex. He like sees stormtroopers, and we get flashbacks to when he saw clone troopers on Ferrex. And it was so cool. It was so because I feel like Book of Boba Fett, which is the only other Star Wars I think that does like a lot of big flashbacks, was very purposeful. Like this is a flashback, this is a not flashback, and which is a valid way of storytelling and making it very clear to your audience. but I love the way that Andor portrayed flashbacks, because memories get a little messy. And when you look at a place, you think of your memories of it. When you look at something that reminds you of something, you think of, and it blends together and you see them both.
Yeah,
It was such an interesting way to portray it.
I would say it was more a difference between like memories and like flashbacks and then like PTSD of like pretty, because like what leads up to that point seems to be, you know, how Clem got. So, and I'm not saying like the whole like shuffling of feet itself was the PTSD, but the like reminder of what happened when, you know, like you said, that certain sound or like that certain place reminds you of something. I mean, even like when he goes back and he sees Marva, and that's a really nice reunion. It's really funny. But then like Marva's like, you know, I don't go that way. Like I take a whole other route. I go the long way so I don't have to like think about Clem. Like that place had like that place and like the people that were affected by it like have a big like impact, and especially like, you know, the boots on the sand, you know, that led to that, probably horrifying to hear again. So yeah, that was an interesting way of portraying it. I thought, I don't know why at first, but I thought they were gonna show him like on that one planet with Han, like where Han was.
Oh, on
I thought he
Mimban.
was gonna be cooking. I was like, oh,
I would
Chilistine.
I don't know if they're gonna go for it because this show seems a little averse to doing stuff like that, but I would love some Mimban flash.
I know. I'm just saying.
For
I
sure.
wish they should Chilistine.
I'm with you. Yes. Maybe he made anti-Chilistine.
Yeah.
Maybe he did. Yeah, and I think another thing I really enjoyed about the way they portrayed Cassian's flashbacks was how in some scenes they, like, even when it was 13-year-old Cassian and they had a 13-year-old Cassian actor in some shots, in other shots it was adult Cassian in those memories, which I think was such an interesting way, because it was still very clear that it was a memory, and very clear that it was from a long time ago, but it was like, you know, we're not just seeing like, oh, this is what happened. We're seeing this is what Cassian is feeling and thinking of right now. And just that little detail, I think, was so like
he's back in that memory.
Yes,
it was horrifying.
Awesome.
Awesome, but
I mean,
horrifying.
not like, yeah, it was, I mean, it was, as far as just like the filmmaking of it, beautiful. Great stylistic choice.
Yes. Horrifying. Thank you very much. Thank you for it.
The Cassian does go back to Marva. They have this, I don't feel like I can do it justice talking about it because it was, the acting, everything was amazing.
It was very sweet, and I especially liked B. You know, because B was super excited. I also think it's funny because Marva's just seeing him with baby face now.
Oh yeah, he shaved.
That's why he was like, "Wow, look at you! He's all baby face. He's no longer bearded."
No,
my dad is.
I kind of miss the beard.
Yeah.
It worked for him. I feel like I've mentally inserted the beard into Rogue One. I feel like if I rewatch Rogue One now, I'm gonna be like, why do you look like that?
Why are you baby?
Why are you? You look older, and your show took place before this, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very sweet. I
think that what I appreciated the most was because Marva is very like, we gotta fight, like this is our time, like we gotta fight back, people are rising up. She's very inspired by this rebellion, which is what was, obviously they were trying to get money from Aldhani, but I think was also, for at least in Luthen, part of it was the inspiration across the galaxy, which is what it's always been about, from Rebels to everything. And so Marv is like ready to go. Like she even says like, "Didn't you see what happened on Aldani?" And Cassian's like, this was kind of it was kind of fun. It was a very fun. It was
Maybe.
like a funny little thing. At least I was a little bit amused by it in this very serious scene where she's like, "Didn't you see what happened on Donnie?" And Cassian's like, I think so."
Perhaps.
Maybe. It was just like I was amused a little bit. And I think she's like ready to fight, and Cassian's like, "No, like let's go somewhere safe. Like I have money now. Like we can like, just have like a nice little life. Like we'll be fine." When she does not want to do that. She wants to stay on Ferrix and she wants to fight back. Um, and Cassian's like, "But like you have to come with me. Like I'm gonna worry about you." And she's like, "Well, that's just what love is." And that hit me very hard. I was like, "Man, you're so right." Uh, Crazy. She also tells him about Tim being the one that betrayed him.
Yeah.
And a little bit.
To
Cass.
Tim, little baby. B was like, Tim, he did it.
Yeah.
That man did it.
They were so mean to B in this episode. They need to take B out of Andor and put him in like Resistance or something where people are going to be nice to him. This show is too mean for little B. It breaks my heart. I think I said this like when the very first episodes came out. I was like, we need K2 here now because K2 gives attitude back. Sweet little B does not. And it breaks my heart. I think B needs to go emo era because he's gotta start being mean. It's too hard for me to watch him just take it.
Yeah.
It hurts.
He's gonna like just
I want
break
B
one
to
day and be like,
snap.
you know what?
I want B to snap. Like
Yeah.
that droid in Rebels with Zeb? They're like, "Oh, what a nice little protocol droid," and then tries to blow them all up. I want B to do that. Not that I wanted them to
Yes.
blow up, but I want B to like stop taking it. B, stand up for yourself. I believe in you.
Yeah.
You deserve better. You should go on Alderaan and hang out with Leia and Lola, but don't stay. Don't stay. You have 5 years before you have to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it ends with Cassian being like, "All right." Cassian's like, we're just gonna go tomorrow then. So pack up all your stuff. I'm gonna go talk to Bix before I leave."
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and Marva does not want to pack. Marva wants a gun. I think they had two conversations. I think I'm blending both of them, but we'll talk about both because we already talked about with Marva and Clem. And what happened to Clem was because it was clone troopers were marching through, and it was at this point it was Imperial clone troopers. So it wasn't our buddy clone troopers. And a couple people start shouting and protesting, and Clem is the one that steps out and he's like, "Hey guys, calm down, like you can do anything." And of course the clones turn around and they see Clem out there. Terrible.
Yeah. It
Because he
reminded
would have
me.
been right to protest, for the record. Like the other
Yeah.
guys didn't do anything wrong, so I don't want to say like he didn't do anything wrong because none of them really did. But he didn't even do that. He was trying to get them. Ugh, it's terrible.
Yeah. And then that scene, I thought it reminded me a lot of what was it? Jojo Rabbit
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
with
I forget her name, but Scarlett Johansson's character.
yeah. Was it Scarlett Johansson?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
No, it was wasn't it Peggy? No.
In
I
Jojo
don't.
Rabbit, no, it was Scarlett Johansson. I've watched that
Yes.
movie so many times. I love that movie. Okay.
I know. I'm just mixing up actresses with hair. Um, but when she also they show that specific scene of her being hanged. That was tough. um like that was that was awful. um I like it was cool to see, especially because then later we see Diego Luna charging after the
Hmm.
stormtroopers. And I thought it was also really interesting because it's not like he had a gun or anything, a
No,
blaster.
he had a stick.
Yeah. Which is, interesting because what Jin said that 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 what's his face said saw, you know, um, one guy with one stick and nothing left to lose can take the day. Um, which I don't know if he did because he's a child,
I
but
assume he. I mean, he's still alive. That's
yeah, he's
something. But
still alive.
I think
So
we can assume then that's how he got because they mentioned earlier his charges. So they mentioned earlier like insurrection, blah blah blah, and then so we can assume it was that, and then that's probably what got him inscripted into the imperial military and brought him to Mimban.
yeah, it's it was tough. It was,
Yeah.
you know, and technically he didn't really have much to lose, but except his mom, technically. But yeah, that I just thought it was interesting, what Marva said, like, she takes the long way around. She doesn't go through that area anymore. Which, I wouldn't either. um, it's tough. And now that Marva has this like slight like view of hope, like she's able to, just have hope. Even having hope is like good enough for people sometimes.
Mhm.
um uh it's yeah, I don't know why, but I just was thinking of Hollow Knight is so not really irrelevant, but a little bit irrelevant. But there's this achievement you get if there's a character, his name is like the old stag, but like his first name that you meet him was the last stag, and he's like this giant stag beetle that like carries you to different places around the map, and you have to find those stag stations to unlock them so he can find you there and like take you there, and you unlock it. And when you first meet him, he's like, yeah, I'm the last of my race, like I'm just going to keep going and keep bringing you places until I die. And it was very sad. And then I went and I was like, oh, I think this is the last stag station. And so I went and I talked to him. I was like, hey, this is the last stag station. He was like, yeah, I just found the stag nest where I'm from because you opened all these stations. All the stations are now open. um, I found my home. And so he takes you to his home, and it's all trashed, and like there's stag beetle skeletons and stuff. And he's like, yeah, I'm the last of my kind. But if you go and you travel around and explore, there's a section where there's an egg, like there's multiple eggs, but all of them like are either like broken or like they'd never been opened. And there's one that is opened, like it hatched, but like you can't find it, and you get an achievement, and it's called Hope. And then you go and you talk to him, and you're like, hey, I found this egg that was cracked, or like that was hatched. And he's like, wow, that's amazing. Like you know I'm so grateful that to hear of these news. Like there's more of me out there, and I can't wait to see them if I can, and if not, like I'm still happy to know that like there's more of me out there. And it's so sad, and it just and then his name goes from the last stag to the old stag. um and it's very cute, but it's just hope can do a lot for you, especially when you do see that there are others like you, like Marva, she technically part of a rebellion beforehand, like,
I don't think so.
because I don't know, but it seemed like she was very active in her community nonetheless, but
Mm-hmm.
saving Casa and stuff. So, now that she sees that there are people standing up to the Empire, I think it's very, very good. Just she's very happy about it, and she has hope. Because she was even saying, like, the stag, she was like, I was just gonna sit around here until I died. And I was like, man, that's really heartbreaking. But it's good now that she has that hope, even if, and I wish Cassian would say something. Like, I really wanted Cassian to be like, oh yeah, that was me. I did that. But I know that I knew he wouldn't, which is fine. But I think she would have been, that much prouder, especially with the way that things were left, because he
Mm-hmm.
wanted her to come with him to escape. She wanted to stay, and he couldn't stay with her, like with all the stormtroopers around. Um, so it was very sad. And even though I'm sure he did understand her wanting to stay and help and be a part of that hope, he just said that he didn't. And I think she was pretty heartbroken from that, even though she said, hey, I'm not going to judge you for it. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I understand. But it was sad. I was sad.
He was
And
very
she
sad.
stayed. And then she had a whole blaster.
And she picked up a whole blaster, and it's like, I don't know what you're gonna do with that right now, but maybe don't. Like, maybe
Yeah.
wait. But we'll see. I'm sure Marvin's not making it out of this series, if not the season.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm excited. I think the what's her name? The actress.
I do not know.
I'm gonna look it up really quick because she's doing a phenomenal job. Fiona Shaw. That's who it is. Fiona. I knew it was Fiona something. I was thinking Fiona Applegate. I was like, that's not her. Fiona Shaw is doing an incredible job with Marva.
Mm.
All the actors, honestly, in the show are mind-blowingly good. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
So, like,
So
when
yeah,
Cassian goes to see Bix.
he goes to see Bix, and he's immediately like, "What happened to you?" And it's like, "How about hi, sir?"
Yeah.
But she still has the marks on her face from when the Primor bashed her in the wall. Um, and Bix is kind of blames Cassian because she's like, "Look, you killed two people and then came back here to hide." But they have a sort of tense confrontation, and Vix is definitely very angry at Cassian. And even though I don't really think it's fair to blame Cassian, I also understand why she did it. I mean, why she's blaming him. I mean, the whole town has been turned upside down, and it's a lot easier to blame Cassian in the Empire. So I don't agree. I'm empathetic of that. He does ask about Luthen, and she's like, I don't really know him. Like, we talked a little bit back and forth. And
Hmm.
Cassian's like, well, how did he know so much about me? And basically like, I don't know, I didn't tell him anything about you. Um, Cassian gives her money, uh, the money that he owes to a couple different people. And it's like, here, pay them back. Here's all the money that they're all owed from me. Um, Cassian, even though she's clearly angry with him, is still like, Cassian, be careful.
Yeah. I think we also had slight confirmation that they were dating
They
before
used to
too.
be, yeah, because he mentions like, remember when your dad got really mad at me because he caught me speaking over the wall? It's very funny.
Yeah, and then she even mentioned, like, you know, she was like, Tim thought that you and I were back together, which is like,
Yeah.
Tim, you're stupid. But whatever. You do you in heaven or hell. I don't know. I don't know where you are.
Whatever the Star Wars ones are.
Yeah. What's the Star Wars equivalent?
I'm sure there are quite a few. Yeah, that's the me with Bix. Back on Coruscant, we have Mothma at a party, and there's this Chandrillan guy named Take Homa, and Mothma's like, oh, like I have a favor to ask you. It's political, and
Wasn't he the old chancellor?
no, everyone
No.
thought he was Chancellor Valorum when the trailer came out. He was not.
Mm,
He was just a dude.
just a dude.
But she's like, and he's like, oh, my politics might be a little intense for you, or something like
I think he
that.
says that to her
You know,
first.
he says it to her, and she's like, okay,
Sure.
sure. um, they go to the party, and it's very like they're making sure she tells him, she's like, hey, you need to smile, like keep up the
Her
appearance while they're
dress
talking
is
about this.
magnificent.
She's
Sorry.
amazing. It is. You're right.
We
And
did
so like
not address.
while they're having their conversation, she keeps reminding, she's like, oh, smile, like, you know, have some punch, like, you know, very much putting up the front while they're having this conversation in the middle of a party. Just so super cool.
It's
So
like talking cheese at a party. Like you're just like, shh, it's okay.
yeah.
Just smile. It's okay. We're talking about something else right now.
So yeah, so Tay runs a Chandrillan bank. And so Mothma's family money that she should have access to is like in the bank, and she's not having access to it. And she wants access to it so that she can do rebellion stuff. So she's trying to get Tay to get her to have access and possibly get more help.
Yeah, it's a good summary of that because again, there were a lot of big words and I was slightly lost. And then she was like, anyway, I need money. And I was like, oh, okay.
Like, I get that. I get that.
Yeah, I understand that one.
Yeah, so Mothma talks about how, you know, she's like, I learned from Palpatine. Like, you know, everyone thinks that I'm just like an annoyance. I'm just always like trying to help people. I'm so annoying. I'm
How
always trying
dare
to help
me.
everyone thinks I'm so annoying. I try to help people. Oh my god, I'm the worst.
Yeah.
So everything, like, I just try to be annoying, so people just kind of write me off as like a little, you know, do-gooder when really they don't know what I'm really doing.
I'm an extra do-gooder.
Yeah. And so it's so cool to hear her talk about it. She says, I learned from Palpatine, like if I show you the stone of my hand, you won't notice the dagger at your throat. Which is very much what Palpatine did throughout the Clone Wars, you know? It's so fascinating. I'm loving as cool as like the battles are and the heists. I love the just like the political, like the talking. I just think it's so interesting how so little can happen and yet so much happens. It's fascinating. So yeah, so Mothma wants the money. She's creating a Chandrillan charity foundation thing as a front to funnel the money into, so she can then use it as rebellion stuff instead of just transferring it all to herself, because that would be suspicious. And Tay will be the chairman of this. She's really trying to pull him into the rebellion stuff. So he is, I guess, the ally that she was talking to Luthen about, not Saw, as interesting as that would have been. But this does make more sense. So we're talking about that. And Mothma's like, she's like, oh, just, you know, think about it. It was helping me and stuff. She's like, but you know, like, it's okay if my politics are too much to you. And it's like, ooh, it's so cool. I love her. I love
Roasted.
her. I loved this scene. I love Star Wars politics. I love it. People have also pointed out it's very similar for her. It's very similar to a deleted scene from Revenge of the Sith. I don't know if that deleted scene is canon or not. I'm not sure what's up with deleted scenes. But
I think
there's a
deleted
deleted
scenes
scene.
are canon.
Yeah, but I mean, because sometimes the deleted scene is a direct contradiction. You know, it's like, well, it's like, where do we pick? You know, what's up? Anyway, there's a deleted scene from Revenge of the Sith where Padme, as the Republic is crumbling, she sits down. A bunch of senators, Bail Organa and Mon Mothma, are included in the conversation, and she's like, all right, we need to stay quiet. We need to start to form a rebellion, and we need to just let them think we're annoyances trying to do stuff. Like, she's literally doing what, if the scene is canon, which it is in my heart, she's literally just doing what Padme said to do. And it's like, man, like Padme, I know you don't like Padme. I love Padme.
I like her politically. Again, I just don't like her with Anakin. That's all. I love her as a person. I don't love
Um,
her as two people.
that's fair. That's fair. But it's very much like Padme's influence. Not that I don't think Mothma could have come up with this on her own or anything,
Mhm.
like not discrediting her, but it's very much like Padme's influence and
Yeah.
the because I'm sure Bale has a bit more free access to money, I assume, because his wife is a queen, but Bale's doing like a lot of the same stuff she's doing right now. And so interesting. I love senators. I think they're in Star Wars. In Star Wars.
Yeah, I was gonna say in
in
Star Wars.
in Star Wars. It's just so cool the things they get up to.
And just the
Yeah.
creation of this rebellion, like
Yes.
both from fighting points and political and
Right.
financial way. It's very much it's giving management class. Like we're managing the
Well,
whole restaurant, but the
because
restaurant's rebellion.
like I said, I feel like there's a lot of like, oh, like the rebellion never would have won without like Saw or Luthen, and that's true. It also never would have won without the work Bale and Mothma are doing. It takes both. It takes all of it. You don't pick one way and do it. You have to attack from all angles.
Yeah.
And that's I think Andor is showing that really well. And
You can't you can have a cook things, but who's gonna give it to the actual people? Like you need
yeah,
servers, you need managers, like yeah, it's a
right.
whole thing.
There's so
I'm
many
learning.
functions to the rebellion, and I think it's so easy when you're looking at Star Wars, especially with Star Wars being so usually so action heavy, and be like, look, see, like Saw did that thing. Like he needed to do that. Also, you know, but it's like Saw did
Yeah, but
that.
who
Like
gave him the money and
it's
weapons
like
to do
yeah, and
that?
it's like who, and it's like sure, there's these attacks happening, but it's like the same reason Hera wanted to join up with the Rebel Network. She was like, we can help all these people in Lothal, and that's good and that's great, but if we want to free the rebellion, we need to join up and like do all these things. And who connected them with that was Bale and Ahsoka. And
Mhm.
like you need so many different pieces. You can't just pick one. Um, sure, Mothma wouldn't have won the war on her own, but neither would have Saw. So interesting. I love it. I love this show so much. I hope we don't have to wait too many years for season 2 because I might die, like straight up.
Yeah.
Because Andor was announced years ago,
Yeah.
and we're getting it now, and part of it was COVID for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know they're filming right now, so it won't be too long. But man, I mean, I'll wait. Don't get me wrong. I'll wait however long it takes to make sure it keeps the same quality. Man, I hope it's not too long. um, yeah, that was that party scene. I love it. So good. We also then get a little bit more ISB time. It was so there's that one guy, I forget his name, Levin, and he's like he kind of tattles on her again, like he did with before, and he's like, "Hey, Deidre's getting more information." Blah, blah, blah. And then Deidre explains everything, and he's like, "Listen, if we're because like she's like, listen, the rebels again, she's thinking like a rebel. Shit, sorry, knocked something over." And she's like, "I'm so passionate about this." And so she's like, the rebels aren't gonna follow our little lines in the galaxy map that we made. Like we can't, like if I'm only looking at my little area, I'm gonna miss a lot. She like has this whole little thing. And the major guy is like, huh, interesting. And she's like, I have a bunch of like crime reports, I got all this stuff. I got no idea. She's like, I already have a file ready to go. Like I'm ready. And the Blevin guy is like, well, she's not following the rules. He was that annoying kid in gym class.
Yeah. Or that one kid that's like, don't we have homework? It's like, no,
that's
shut up.
Cyril. That's Cyril. This is the kid. This is the kid because this kid doesn't do his homework. He's the kid that's like he runs up to recess and he's like, they were cheating in hide and seek. Yeah, he's that kid. Anyway, and so then the major guy is like, I forget exactly what he said. He said something to Blevin, and I was like, "Oh snap, you good, you good."
Yeah. He
And
roasted it.
then he
He
roasted
was
him.
just like, oh, we need more people like Dedra then.
It was a very like British imperial roast. It was pretty
Yeah.
good.
I cannot,
Then
yeah, I cannot.
as they were walking out, the major guy is like, "Hey, Deidre, like good job, but watch your back because you're not making friends, basically."
Yeah.
So
Even though
I'm
we're on the
so
same team and should be on the same team, you
yeah,
best watch your
I'm
back.
so interested in Deidre's where her character is gonna go because part of me wants her to like defect because I'm like, how long of thinking like a rebel can you really do before you eventually realize they're right, but then part of me, I don't know, like it would be so
Will
fascinating.
she become a fish?
Fish, yeah. But it's also, I think it would be so fascinating. I don't want, not that I want her to die. I like her as much as I can like an Imperial. But it's like I want to see more of this Imperial, like, I think something Andor's portraying is the Imperial, even though most of the common Imperials are very power hungry and will stab you in the back if it means they can, get a better breakfast.
Mhm.
And like I kind of want to see that. Like, I kind of want to see her. Maybe, this can combine someone's like the Empire's gonna kind of turn on her. Like, people are gonna realize she's doing too good. And it's part of, the Empire cannibalizing itself.
Yeah.
Because, like, while, of course, the rebels, won and fought very hard and did a lot of stuff, like, part of the reason the Empire fell was also because of their arrogance and power hungriness. You play Battlefront 2, and you have the Imperials because they all want to be in charge now and they're not cooperating. If they were cooperating, maybe things could have gone different. Um,
Mhm.
but they all were infighting and being attacked from the outside. I think it'd be really interesting to see more of that.
Yeah. Um, yeah, pretty much what you said. I mean, I have nothing more to add than that.
Oh,
I think I really like the next parts.
yes, we can talk about the last part. So he goes to the beach. And by the way, the music when you get to Niamos, such
The
a
upbeat music.
slap, such a jam. Um, And so then we go and he's on, it's like a beach, it's like a resort. It's
That's
like,
it. Okay. I thought that was so cool because it looks like Puerto Vallarta in Mexico, like where I didn't grow up, but like where I was born. And it's so
do you think they
pretty.
filmed it there?
No, I don't think they filmed it there, but the thing like because it's by the beach, there's obviously I'm sure there's a lot of beach places. This is just what it reminded me of because I was like Mexico. But like it reminded me of that because like there was like where you're like they were sitting and the kids were running from the shore troopers, like
Mm-hmm.
kind of that little area, but the top areas with the rails looked similar. And like if you look up like Puerto Vallarta, it's like there's a beach. It's just a beach, and like there's these like open spaces. It's concrete, kind of very similar color and like how I feel the texture would be to where he was walking around and kind of like that open space before he gets jumped by a shore trooper. Um, like it was just so I don't know. I hope it was it because also he's from Mexico. I don't know where in Mexico. I might just look it up, but I thought it was so cool because I was waiting for like in that area. There's like statues where it's like a seahorses or there's a bunch of different art pieces there. There's like these little guys with ladders. I'm sure I have pictures of my dad climbing them. But like it was
I did Google it. That scene was filmed in England.
in where?
England.
Yeah, that's very much not
It was
Mexico.
actually probably pretty cold, depending on when they filmed it.
Yeah, probably they had to make him sweat.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I
Pour
thought it
sweat
was
on
so
him.
cool. Let me look up where because I know Diego Luna is from Mexico. I don't know where.
Yeah, so he's going by Keith Gergo. I
That's
hope
such a bad name.
I hope that's someone's name that died, sort of like Clem or something. Because,
He was born
dear
Mexico
God,
City.
Cassian, you can pick anything. You could literally pick any name you want to go by. And you pick Keith Gergo.
It's so bad.
It's not even Keith, it's
Like,
Keith with an
I
S.
understand the Clem thing. I understood it.
Clem
But
was great.
the Keith?
Keith Gergo. Come on, man. So he's like showering ish, and there's this woman, Wendy, that he's in a room with. Wendy's a fun
He's
name.
naked.
She is. Cassian is in his slut era.
Yeah.
And I didn't say that.
Okay.
What? I didn't
It's
say
okay.
that.
He's okay to do that.
Good
He's
for
on the
him.
run at
Good
this
for
point.
him. Good for
Yeah.
him.
Who wouldn't? Look at the man.
Yeah, so Cassian showers and she's asked him, she says, can you get pizzos and Revnog? I love Star Wars names for food. It's so silly. It's so silly. So Cassian goes to get the pizzos and Revnog. Great. It's so silly. I wonder what a pizzo is.
It sounds like an alcohol. I don't know. But he said he was
In
going
the
to like the
morning.
grocery store.
Yeah, pizzo sounds like a nut to me. You know, like, oh, I'm gonna grab me a bag of pizzos. I'm gonna snack. You know, Revnog sounds like eggnog.
Yeah.
Maybe that's some kind of alcohol or something. I don't know. Maybe it's Christmas time.
But anyway, he's like, okay,
Revnog is an alcoholic. We don't know what pizzos are.
It sounds like Tito's.
Pizzos. I feel like I'm pictured like pistachios when they say pizzos.
That's fair. Yeah, but he's gonna go to the store and there's these shore troopers chasing after these kids.
Yeah.
And there's literally a shore trooper waiting right there just for someone to pass by. He like doesn't even like he's like just standing there and he's like, hey you part of the thing? And then Cassian's like, the what? I'm sorry, Keith was like, the what? Like, yeah, you're part of it, aren't you? And he's like, no.
And by the way, that shore trooper is Sam Witwer, fun fact.
Of course it is.
The voice. I don't think he was in the suit, but he's the voice.
Dang.
I mean, maybe he was. Matt Lanter was that dude in Mando, so maybe he was. But I know he's at least the voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very like Cassian. Cassian literally like did a whole heist against the Empire and got away with it. And now he's just walking and someone, just bad luck, really.
Yeah.
He's minding his business. Other people did something. I'm sure they didn't do anything that bad. But it's it's interesting because it's part of the and it's hard to say because the Empire already sucked, so it's hard to say if they would have done it before or not. But like we already heard, like the ISB is getting, they're allowed to arrest more people and do more stuff like that because of the Aldhani heist. So it's this was potentially because of the Aldhani heist, which is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, and even if not, it's definitely just part of the Empire in general, like very similar to real life. Like, a lot of cops and police stations have a certain quota they have to follow up with, and that's however many people they arrest or give tickets. It depends, which sucks because it's like, why do we have that? I don't know. Well, I do know, but anyway, like it's a whole thing, and I saw it coming because I saw the shore trooper. I was like, no, don't you dare, please.
It seems like I'm just a tourist, man. Like,
yeah, he was like, dude, I'm just going to the store. Like, it's right there.
He just wanted a little beachy vacation.
Yeah, and then he's like messing with him, and he's trying to get him to like accidentally talk about whatever organization or whatever the kids are doing, which I'm sure the kids are either one, just running away from shore troopers, or two, maybe they stole something. I don't know.
I'm sure they stole like something silly, like a snack.
Yeah, petty theft.
Maybe some pizzas.
Yeah. But you know, it was so frustrating to see, because I'm like, I've seen that in real life, and I don't like it, and not real life either. And it's like Sam Witwer, great performance, but go away for now.
Yeah, so the short trooper also, he calls for backup, and it's the KX security droid.
Yeah.
And I will say, I sat straight up. I was like, yo, this is my boy. It was not my boy.
No.
Sadly. I wish it was.
Yeah.
I really wish it was. And the guy's like, just hang on to him while I get the other kids. And the droid, I will say, it was a very tense scene. It was very like frustrating and very scary. It was also the droid's like, oh, hang.
Yeah, I was like,
that was a little bit funny. I mean, it wasn't funny that Cassie was being choked. I don't know, just the droid being like, oh, hang, okay, like that's a little bit funny. The droid
it was
just, like,
funny, but I was horrified.
It was horrifying, but it was a little funny that the droid was taking it very. I always think it's fun. It's a very. This is a totally different example. It's very like Miku moment, like taking it very literally.
Yeah, Niku would choke Diego Luna as hard as he could.
Yes, he would. So it was slightly amusing in the middle of like a very tense scene. It was like that initial like, oh, that's funny. He thought he meant like hat, and it was like, oh wait, no, stop, that's not good. That's terrible and scary. And then so Cassian goes to court. I'm pretty sure this is the first time we've seen like a court in Star Wars besides the like weird Senate court thing Ahsoka had. This is like a court.
Mm-hmm.
Keith Gergo gets charged of disruption, anti-imperial speech, and fleeing the scene of a crime and damaging imperial property, none of which he did. And Cassian's like, hey, or Keith, like, hey, yo, I didn't do that. And the judge is like, I can give you resisting judgment charge. It's like, bro. And again, like you said, it's very real to like stupid charges and stuff like that we have in real life. And certain people get profiled and, you know, just have that happen when they didn't do anything. And it's very similar to what happened to Clem. You know, like he just happened to be there. He didn't do anything. And and then he gets 6 years in prison.
Yeah, that was like, bro.
It's crazy. 6 years, dude. That's a lot.
Like something I would make up in a game, or like if I was little and we were playing cops and robbers, I'd be like, yeah, you're gonna go 100 years in prison. What'd you do? You stole a pencil.
You get 6 years.
That's like craziness. What's the word?
Yeah, although you know what? 6 years, that means he's still gonna be in prison when Rogue One happens. Therefore, Cassian will live.
He will.
That's how it works.
What's it called? It's when
if he's still in prison, then he can't be unscarce. Therefore, Cassian lives happily ever after.
What's the word? The legal term, like,
oh, I'm not the person to ask.
Justice, unfair
mistrial?
No, like when you do something and it's like not equal to the like amount of like you do something wrong, but the thing that like, but the like you get
bro, I call your mom. I do not know.
No, like what's it called? It's like, you do something bad, say petty theft, and then they're like, hey, you're going to jail for 6 years. There's a word for it. It's like something like, I don't know. I'll think of it. Hopefully, maybe, probably not. Anyway, but yeah, he gets sent for 6 years. Just so many years for like all the things he just did not do. And I mean, that's
Well, to be fair, he has done them, just not here.
yeah. He literally
I think
didn't do
he's
them
done all.
here.
I think he's done all of those, but that's not what they were arresting him for.
Yeah, I mean, and that's pretty much how the prison system works here. Like IRL, like you all those quotas, people get put in jail. It's another way to make money off of people without saying it, even though it's very clearly in like all the amendments and stuff. That's like, well, you won't really be a slave unless you do something wrong, and then you are now a slave. Like it's pretty much the whole thing. Like and just how it works, and that even if you do something slightly wrong, but you still go anyway. Doesn't matter how long you're in there, they just want you in there. And like it's such a weird thing because it's like why would the government want that? Because like the prisons are all full at this point, they're making new ones. It's like it's a whole thing, like whatever. And then there's like the other thing where certain people, like certain groups of people, races, are like put in jail for longer for having a certain amount of weed or something. But other groups that are that profit off of racism and things like that have the same exact thing, but they get a slap on the wrist, then nothing happens to them. They have the exact same thing, but nothing happens. And it just the prison system both here and in Star Wars is no bueno. And it's it was so frustrating because I was like, why is he needs a lawyer, what's happening?
No, he didn't get a public defender. They just like literally, it wasn't even a trial. They literally pull him up and they were like, hey, here's what you did, you're going to jail, bye, and pull the next guy up. And it's like, it's not even court. I'm very curious to hear what your mom has to say about this.
I'm sure she'll have a lot of words. Yeah. But that was so frustrating, just in a like aspect of like real life, and then in a like what is happening, like just feeling for Keith there. I was like, what?
Poor Keith.
Yeah,
I think I do think they should have put naming yourself Keith Gergo on his list of crimes.
We should
that was his real crime, was Keith Gergo.
Yeah. I think for every time that Cassian chooses his name, I'm just gonna change my Twitter name to it. We'll see how many we get.
Yeah. That man.
Yeah, that was a lot. And I was like, man, he looked like he was having an okay life. Like, what's going on?
He was literally, he was chilling. He had that beautiful woman in his bed. He was getting some pesos. He was on this awesome town.
And then the guy,
now they're probably gonna take his money.
Stupid.
Oh, and
he was like, oh well, why are you sweating? It's like, what do you mean by that? I'm on a beach.
He's on the beach. Sir. Also, you're harassing him. You got a big gun. Come on.
Yeah, now. Like I'm gonna sweat. Like that was the dumbest thing. Yeah. And it's so frustrating because like I keep getting like a lot of videos on my social media, like of because people have, but there's more people recording their experiences with the police because a lot of things go wrong. Like the police are making up their own laws. They're making up these weird rules that you have to go by that are not at all like if you're scared and you don't know the law, you're gonna abide to it, unfortunately. And it sucks because it's like this is the exact situation, unfortunately, that Cassian's going through. Is like, hey, well, I'm just going to the store. What do you mean I'm sweating? I'm literally on a beach. And he's like, the harassment, no bueno. But yeah, sorry, but yeah, little Keith, he was having the time. He was having a good time. He's on this beautiful beach, like you said, beautiful woman. Had a nice shower. The shower looked nice. I don't know, which I thought it was interesting because it's very, very beach house. I think I've never been in a beach house, but it reminds me of what I think a beach house would look like. But yeah, I also don't know. We don't know how long he's been there either.
No, I can't imagine it was terribly long.
Mhm.
Just I didn't feel like there was a time skip with all the other plot lines. It'll be weird to time skip his plot line and no one else's. Um, yeah, man. So we'll see. I hope Cassian gets out of jail. Who knows what's gonna happen? I'm just kidding. I hope Vel goes to kill him and then just feels bad and lets him out of jail.
Cruel and unusual punishment.
Okay. That's not what
Eighth
cruel.
Amendment.
Yeah, cruel and unusual punishment isn't, at least from my understanding, it's not, it's like if they come up with a really weird specific punishment instead of like a,
Yes.
like I think an unjust
But it's
sentence
also
is,
for, I
from
mean,
what I
essentially,
understand,
it's like
cruel,
for excessive fines and like things
is it?
like that.
Okay. I always thought of it as when they're like, I want this person to like drown. It's like, well, that's cruel and unusual punishment. That's all. That's what I'd usually heard of it.
No, it's like it's pretty much for these things where it's like 6 years. What do you mean? Like
Yeah.
that's where he needs a lawyer. I think. I'm not even gonna
Well,
speak anymore because that's on my mom's turf.
yeah.
But
Well, I'm very curious to hear what you think.
yeah.
Yeah, and the very last shot of the episode is Serial doing his little work. Go Serial.
Yeah. Little
Um,
turning the knobs. I thought
yeah.
that for
Oh, I
some
do also
reason
want to
he was gonna
mention
find Cassian in there.
the Arabesh for one of the guys that was sentenced either right before or right after Cassian, because I have these weird little like punch card thingies. I don't know what they're. Um, but one of the Arabesh as one of the crimes for the one guy was suspected force sensitivity. I forget his name. It was also something silly like Keith Virgo, but you know.
Gotcha. Yes. But yeah, that was very good episode.
Yes, very good. I cannot wait for next episode. Cannot wait for Tales of the Jedi next week. I think I will be watching Tales of the Jedi first. Because that's who I am. But
Yeah. Wait, what day is it? Sunday. Sorry. My brain is now not remembering things. But yeah, and then we'll have another episode of Andor. I'm so excited. It feels like a season 2, even though I know it's not, but it very much feels like it
interesting.
to me. I think it's just the new surroundings is all.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think it's more we hit the midpoint of the season, you know? And I think like I feel like Rebels usually had a break at the middle of the season. Cass Andor does not. So
Yeah.
I'm just going straight through. I'm very
Yes.
happy for it.
I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, so that was Andor. I don't have any other words to say. I feel like it's been a lot.
No, it's a good. I appreciate. I would love to have some more.
Yes. So for Star Wars Geek Girl, you can follow the Facebook page is Star Wars Geek Girl, Twitter and Instagram at SW Geek Girl, then StarWarsGeekGirl.com. The monthly poll is there. Book reviews. I do book reviews at some point. Quizzes on Wednesdays and blog articles on Fridays. Also, usually, listen, it's hard coming up with an idea every week, okay? Sometimes I just can't think. It's hard.
That's fair.
So yeah, go follow the Star Wars Geek Girl things for sure.
Yes. For the Rouge Rebels, we have theroguerebels.com. Instagram and TikTok is at the Rogue Rebels, Twitch at Rogue Rebels, podcast wherever you're listening to Star Wars Geek Girl, Facebook page the Rogue Rebels, Twitter at Rogue Rebels Fam, and you can follow me. But all I do is Andor posts, so look forward to that.
Yeah, you can follow me on at AHZOEKA at Azoika on Twitter and at Spectre_5 on Instagram and TikTok. I'm going to be honest, every day I just get closer to being toxic about Overwatch on Twitter. So if you don't want to see that, don't follow me. Just kidding. I won't be toxic. I listen, I just think people complain too much. That's my thing. So I would just
Yeah,
complain
that's
about the
fair.
complainers.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
have now changed my name to Keith Gergo. So yeah,
excellent. Excellent. Um, so yeah. Uh go follow all the things. We will be doing likely 2 episodes next week, one for Andor and one for Tales of the Jedi, because I'm not even going to try to assume we can get both done. I think we've tried things like that before and it doesn't even work. We couldn't even get through all
we've
three
tried
episodes.
talking Andor like
We couldn't
all the
even
way
get through
through.
we couldn't even get through the first. I think our first Andor podcast was like literally the first episode, maybe a little bit the second one. Yeah, so I was like, I'm not even gonna try it. We're just gonna do two. So look forward to that next week. I'm so excited for Tales of the Jedi, dude. I'm gonna freak out. I'm so excited. So yeah. Yeah, thank you so much for listening. I was Zoe.
I was Lizzy.
May the force be with you, and goodbye.
Goodbye.
Star Wars Geek Girls. They're geek girls that like Star Wars. And sometimes cry.